Hi, welcome to Motivator Academy Hub. I'm Dr. David Hanak and I'm an academic coach at Motivator Academic. Today I want to answer all of your questions about LinkedIn and I want to share my experience with actually using LinkedIn that I've been gathering over the past couple of years. I also always get asked, why do you really need to use LinkedIn? Why do you need to use another platform to actually share your research? Is LinkedIn that effective to actually share research? And if it is, why it is so effective? So I'm going to share the insights from my reflections, how I'm using LinkedIn and why I see value in it. And hopefully that will encourage you to actually build your profile, build your expert brand on LinkedIn. So let's get started. So the first question I want to answer is, why do you actually use LinkedIn? What's the main reason for using this specific platform compared to Twitter or Facebook that are known by many other people? Well, the first thing is LinkedIn is fairly new brand. It's fairly new platform with very specific audience. I say that because LinkedIn is, well, it just has about 760 million users spread across the world, so from around 200 countries right now. But the main benefit of using LinkedIn is that 40% of that 760 million people is actually active on a daily basis. So they use LinkedIn on a daily basis. And that tells you something, right? So ask yourself, why do they use LinkedIn on a daily basis? This is mostly because LinkedIn is focused on professionals. So professionals who want to build their brand, who want to learn something new every day for the rest of their lives. So it's all about, building community, building relationships, but also building your expertise and showing your expertise to those people who might actually want to use it. So being on LinkedIn and having, very engaged profile, well-designed profile, sharing content that's engaging and interesting to your audience, it's an opportunity for you to build yourself a profile that is seen as the expert profile in your field. And if you look at people in sales, I always try to follow what people in sales do because they tend to know this stuff. So what they tell about LinkedIn, well, they say that LinkedIn gets you 2 to 3 times more engagement compared to any other platform because of its specific focus on learning, on development, on new knowledge. So that's one of the main reasons why I personally decided to use LinkedIn, mostly because this is it's focused mostly on learning, and why I encourage others to actually use it. But there is a problem with LinkedIn. This is mostly because people don't know what LinkedIn is supposed to be used for. That's the main problem, because they see it as yet another social media and they try to treat it as Facebook or Twitter. And they don't understand the benefits. So I've just told you a little bit, of the benefits: engagement, professional focus on learning. But there are many other benefits that I will mention later in this academic talk. And also people don't know how to make the most out of this platform to build the expert brand, because they just, think about it as I mentioned, yet another social media. So it doesn't really matter what you publish, right? But the truth is, it matters what you publish. It matters when you publish it, and it matters what's the value that you give to your audience. And I'm going to talk about value in a couple of minutes. So today, in this academic talk, I'm going to share my insights and my practice that actually helped me to build a very engaged network. So what I mean by engaged, as of April 2021, my network is about to reach 10K followers. That's quite big, I would say. And each of my posts attracts between 5 to 15 or even 20,000 views, 300 likes, all of this stuff, And it's important because it actually tells me that the content that I produce adds value to my network, to my connections, and it helps me to build the relationships with them. So I'm going to share some of my insights, some of my reflections on how you can do this and how you can build an engaged network yourself. Before I start talking about how you can use LinkedIn, I want to tell you what mistakes you have to avoid. because I really want to be honest about this, and I want you to understand that, although the main purpose of using LinkedIn is to build your professional profile and become recognized in your research area, you can share your achievements, you can share your experience, you can share your, educational background, all of this stuff. But there is one specific mistake that people make when using LinkedIn. And this is, LinkedIn is not your CV. It's not your resume. It's not something that, you prepare once and submit for a job application. Although you can apply for jobs on LinkedIn, but that's a completely different story. So how does LinkedIn and resume differ? So LinkedIn, although it has a kind of focus on professional brand, focus on educational and learning, well, it's a little bit more informal than your CV. It's all about building relationships between your audience and yourself, so that you start to talk to them, you start to build some sort of collaborations with them as you go along with you building your network, or maybe even getting a job, right? But definitely it's not just, one-way communication where you just take, for example, when you just scroll through the feed or something. You need to add value, but you also need to engage with your audience. So it's much more interactive than any other social media as well, much more interactive than your CV, mostly because it's not only about your profile, right? So in your profile, you of course explain who you are, what you do, what's your background, what studies did you finish, what projects did you do. But it's all about what you add on the top of this. So it's much more interactive. You can share variety of different content on that platform, from posts, articles, videos, all of this stuff is available there. So make use of it. And I hope you will not make this mistake that you will use your LinkedIn profile as a CV only, and that you will indulge in it and that you engage with your audience. Right. So now that you know what LinkedIn is and what LinkedIn isn't, let me talk about how LinkedIn can help you grow your career and grow your professional brand. So the main benefit of using LinkedIn compared to other social media like Twitter or Facebook, is that most of the recruiters or hiring managers actually use LinkedIn. So we have statistics that says that about 93% of recruiters use LinkedIn almost on a daily basis. So this is the best way to actually get into positions that aren't advertised elsewhere. LinkedIn is also great to actually showcase your expertise, either by your profile, right? So you post, indicate what projects you did, what publications you published, what achievements you achieved in your career. But also you can showcase your skills. You can showcase the projects that you delivered in a way that you actually share the actual content of the projects in the form of blogs, articles, videos. So you can talk about what's exciting about your project, and you can educate your audience about it. And then as you go along, as you start building the profile and you start building your network, you will start to gain social recognition for your skills. So you will get a number of recommendations and endorsements that will actually show that people value what you do and they recognize your achievements in this specific research area. And you can use LinkedIn to actually grow your professional network. And if I knew what I know right now, I would start doing that from the very beginning of my PhD. Unfortunately, I didn't, and I started a little bit later. But I strongly encourage you to start building your professional network from the very beginning, mostly because you can talk to so many people from many organizations that you can work with or you can work for, and you can directly speak to the decision makers. You can speak to CEOs, technical managers, sustainability managers, just to name a few, and they will either collaborate with you on your projects, or they might actually indicate the opening for your future career. So make sure you engage with those people. Another benefit of using LinkedIn and how you can use LinkedIn to advance your career is to join focus groups. So similarly to Facebook, LinkedIn has specific kind of groups that collect people with the same interests. Say there are a number of groups in my research area, which is carbon capture storage. So I am a member of some of those groups where I regularly engage with people on discussions about the subject, on developing new ideas and developing collaborative bids. So this is, again, opportunity to share your research, get more people view you publish paper or insights from your project, but also it's all about, getting to know your collaborators, getting to know and other people who might be interested in working together in solving the problem that you're trying to solve. And in most the main benefit of actually being on LinkedIn is that, as I mentioned, most of the hiring managers are there, which means that most of the jobs available on the market are being advertised over there as well. So make sure that you use these specific features of LinkedIn to your benefit to advance your career. And finally, the main benefit of using LinkedIn is the ability to share your work. So I will talk about sharing work in a little bit in a different video on so what kind of work you can share. But just to summarize briefly, when you publish your work in your academic journal or when you present at the conference, you can share the document with your network and they will basically be very happy to get access to it, mostly because most of the papers are behind paywalls unless you pay APC charges. So this is how you can get people to actually read the work that you already published. But you can also share the news and insights from your research area and kind of become a thought leader in that area, which means that people will actually understand better that area because of you. You educate them, you help them understand what are the current trends, current challenges in your research area, but also you raise awareness, and that's one of the most important things that we have to do. If solving climate change, you really have to educate people about this, especially people from outside of your research area, because they might not be aware of those issues. So use LinkedIn to share your work, reflect on your work and on your research area, but also help others. That's one of the key part of LinkedIn. It's building community, engage community means that you are there to help others. So all the content that you produce needs to add value, but also if you can recommend someone for a job or if you can recommend someone for a collaboration, do it. Be a good person and support others. So to answer the main question of this academic talk, what is LinkedIn all about? Well, there are three main important things you need to know about LinkedIn, and that will help you advance your career and will help you grow your network. So the first thing I want to mention about LinkedIn is give lots of value. So what it means is before you post anything, think about whether that will add value to your network. Think about whether that would add value to you if someone else would actually post it. And just posting pretty pictures of cats or something, it's not something you would be posting on LinkedIn because it simply doesn't add value. Yeah, you can have a little bit of fun with it, but if you look at the main principle of LinkedIn, which is adding value, educating people, you really have to have some quality content there to actually help people and so that they will engage with it. Another thing is it's not only about posting, so you shouldn't just post and forget about your LinkedIn profile. Once you post on your LinkedIn, it's a good practice to actually engage with others as well. It doesn't need to be hours on a daily basis. It will be in 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day will be enough, where you actually read posts kind of posted by other people in your network. And a tip that I want to give you is please use hashtags and search using hashtags, because that's how you can narrow down what you actually see. You don't really want to scroll through the feed because that will be quite a lot of information, and say 70% of it might not be relevant to what you want to achieve or what you want to read about. So use hashtags or use keywords that you want to kind of that align with what you want to read about, and then engage with people who post in that research area. You might also connect with them or follow them. That will, help you grow your network. And, as you start, posting valuable stuff on a regular basis, and if you start engaging with others by liking, commenting, reposting their stuff as well, you will start getting recognition, and you start gaining recognition for what you do, and that will lead to new opportunities. So how you can give value. So I've been talking about value and what value actually is. So I define value as something useful to others. So if I post content, if I post something, I always ask myself, would that be valuable to someone else? What it means is, will they learn something from it? I don't really want to post something that's, just for the sake of posting it so that I keep consistency. But I always ask myself, will they learn something from it? Will they gain a new perspective? Will it kind of induce a discussion on some challenging topics, such as climate change? So you can share valuable content, which is, a broad variety of it, but always actually ask yourself, what value does this add to your network? And I mentioned that there are a number of contents that types of content that you can share. And the most common ones is, of course, post. That's what most people are actually posting. And in your post, you can talk about the recent news in your research area, or in general news worldwide, because that's quite interesting. But just, reposting, it's not always enough. I strongly advise you to actually add your perspective. Think about what will add value, what your thinking is, what's your reflections on this specific topic. So share your reflections on what's going on in your research. Share your publications and reports. You can share those as documents, PDF documents, and people can just scroll through them. So the best way to actually share it is either share the open access paper where people can actually download it and read it, or make sure that you don't, you share the auto accepted copy so that you don't break any rules by the publishers. Okay, just be aware of this. Of course, you also go for conferences, right? So you attend conferences, you prepare slides, you present it, and then most of this actually sits on your drive, right? You've got lots of slide decks that are unused or are used just once in a lifetime, right? So the good news is you can use it on LinkedIn. So you can just, write a very brief description what that is and share it with your network. They will definitely appreciate it. Also, you can produce videos, either live or recorded videos, and video is, quite popular recently. So if you can kind of prepare a couple of, minutes video about what you do in your research and why you do it, what are the implications, that will really add value to your network. And I can't emphasize this enough, but, giving value to your network is how you get recognized, because, you don't really want to ask to be recognized, right? You need to add value first. So I told you more or less what you should post, right? But I kind of want to get a little bit deeper into this and give you a little bit of examples of what I post personally, mostly because I always get this question. So what should I post, right? I know I can post an article, I can record a video, but what do I really post? What's the content that I really have to include in that? So as I mentioned, make sure it adds value and make sure that people will learn from it. So your post should actually reflect the profession and the field that you're within it. So if you want to build engaged profile that focuses, say, on climate change, or that positions yourself as the top architect in your field, then you would really need to make sure that your content reflects that. So you can talk about your profession, the challenges in that field, the opportunities. You can talk about, professional interests. So what it is that interests you professionally. Just tell your story, right? Tell your story, share your experience. People love that. So what do you post? Make sure that you post regularly. I mentioned that a couple of times, and it doesn't really matter whether you post on a daily basis or once a week or twice a week. As long as you're regular with your posting, people will start recognizing this. They will see that, say, on Thursday afternoon, you will post a content that's related to climate change, and they will kind of engage with it because they will kind of expect the content from you. So update them on the news and on your research. So for example, if you achieve a milestone in your research, you develop a model or you finish a set of experiments, you might actually explain what you did, what you learned, and what are the implications to the wider area, kind of research area. You've got for the post, you've got 1300 characters, so it's pretty short, but it's enough to kind of explain what you did, what you learned, and what are the implications. Mostly because, when you can write it very concisely, then you really understand it. Also, what's important, you can actually kind of explain what are the news in your organization that you work on. If your colleagues work on something exciting that's kind of relevant to your research area, you might share it or even repost if they are active on your or on LinkedIn. And well, if you don't have any news from your research area, the good place to find news in your research area is Google. Just Google your, say, keyword carbon capture for in my case, and news, and you will see the recent news, recent posts, and that's how you can get some content to actually share with your network. And as I mentioned, LinkedIn is all about engagement. So it's not only about you posting stuff to your connections, but it's all about discussions. So a good way to actually engage with your audience is to ask them questions. So if you work on a specific piece of work and you kind of thinking whether it's correct or whether you have to improve it, you can ask this kind of question to your network, and they will be eager to actually engage and help you out. Or if you're interested in a specific, say, field, you might ask a question about that specific field, and people will be happy to engage in this kind of discussion. So what do you should remember when posting on LinkedIn? When you post, it's really important to make sure that your post gets wide recognition. So similarly to Twitter, you may want to use hashtags, right? So hashtags, it kind of combines together all the posts with this specific hashtag. Just, we all know what hashtags are, I hope. So just use 2 to 3 hashtags per each post. Use them at the very end of your post. Don't abuse them, because your post will be kind of penalized and it wouldn't kind of reach the audience it deserves. It's also useful to optimize your content for mobile devices. Most of us use mobile devices to scroll through LinkedIn, and if you see a block of text, then you just scroll it. You don't read it because you don't really want. It's difficult to read and it's difficult to distinguish the most important information. So use short sentences, short paragraphs to actually emphasize the most important points that you make in your post. If you can, and if you're happy to do it, consider recording a video, because it gets more engagement and it's more authentic. Like this video, I believe it's much more authentic when I talk to you rather than when I just type it down. So consider recording a video and engage with your audience. Right, so as I mentioned, engaging with audience is important. It's not only because you kind of want to share your perspective on specific topic or add value to someone else, or discuss with others, but it's also a way to actually present yourself as a person that's willing to collaborate, that's engaging with others, and that gets noticed, right? So people notice that you engage, that you post on others' comments or even repost others' posts. So like, comment, enjoy posting, kind of enjoy collaborating with others on LinkedIn. It's also important that you can direct message your connections. So if you see someone posted something and you kind of have an idea, you might kind of develop with them together, don't feel afraid to DM them. Just direct message them. Don't look at the size of the network. I know people sometimes get intimidated if they are about to message someone who is higher in the organization than them, but don't be. LinkedIn is all about collaboration, all about learning and working together. So make sure that if you have an idea that you think that person might be interested, DM them, be very specific why you connecting with them, why you messaging them, and don't be pushy, right? Just be polite and be professional. Connect and follow other people that inspire you. That's the best way to actually build your network and kind of tailor the feed that you see. Because if you connect with relevant people and follow relevant people, your network will kind of grow in the direction you want. So if you want to focus on F1 racing, then you would try to connect with people with the same interest, right? So you join the same groups, you connect with people interested in F1 racing, you post content on F1 racing, and your network will actually start recognizing this, and you will become a thought leader in that research area. So, the best way to actually grow your network is connecting with people, but be very kind of careful about this. Don't send hundreds of invitations a day, because your account may be banned for this and kind of classified as spamming account. Just be reasonable. 10 a day, if your network is small, is just enough. When you actually sending invitations, write a small note about why you want to connect and why how you can add value to that person. What's important? You don't have to connect only with people who you know. Connect with people within your research area, so you have to have a reason why you're connecting with that person, but you don't really need to know them, because LinkedIn is about building relationships. Once you have a network and you start collaborating with other people, you will want to appreciate them, and you will want to be appreciated by them as well. So what I highly recommend is to endorse and recommend others if you feel like it. Don't fake it. Don't do it for the sake of doing this. But if you work with someone on a project and you really admire what they did, recommend them on LinkedIn. Mostly because that shows that you appreciate people, you appreciate their skills and collaboration in general, and that puts you in a great light in principle. So you can actually appreciate them via recommendations. You can write down something very short recommendation about their skills, about the performance, what they did, what inspired you, but also they will likely have a number of skills on their profile, and you can simply endorse them. If you see, as I already mentioned this, but LinkedIn also has an opportunity to actually share new job opportunities with others. So if you see a job opportunity that might be relevant to your colleague, share it with them, or share it with your network, so that people who are actually looking for jobs use that opportunity. Also, you can introduce others to your network who are relevant. So what that means is, if you see that someone is looking for a job in your network, you might actually repost it, and then people from your network will see that person, and they might start to engage with others. Some time ago, I used to have first day posts where I actually promoted young researchers onto my LinkedIn network, and some of them actually started engaging with prospective supervisors. So if you want to be kind of promoted or featured on my LinkedIn, DM me or on this platform. To sum up, the most important message I want to present in this academic talk is you should have fun with LinkedIn, right? So there is no right and wrong in terms of the content, in terms of the posts, but you really have to experiment, try what works. And as academics, as researchers, we shouldn't have an issue with that, right? We like experimenting, we like testing stuff. So experiment, test, and reflect. And the main message here is, if you find that something works better for your audience and for yourself, do more of it. And that's how you grow your network. That's how you grow your professional brand and you become an expert in your research area. Hopefully this was useful, and hopefully I will see you on LinkedIn. Follow me at David Hanak at LinkedIn, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.